Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we're discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 5, Episode 18. Business as usual. Quark gets knee-deep in the weapons trade and suffers a crisis of conscience.
Now, I'm curious what you thought of this episode, because it is a Ferengi episode, but it involves a character trying to better himself.
Well, I liked it. I mean, it wasn't a comedy. Usually the Ferengi episodes are comedies that are not funny, and that's why they are bad. So I don't have any problems with Ferengi episodes generally. And this one is an example of how they can be good, I suppose.
That's a good point. It's when they chase after the humor with the Ferengi when it falls apart.
This one had a whole lot of other stuff. It had tension and suspense. All this guilt stacking up on Quark.
Also, the unfortunate return of public lobe massaging.
In public?
Well, it was in a private room, but we had to see it.
That's fine.
Oh, there was one public instance when he sees... Is it Dax? I think it's Dax. When Quark's cousin first appears, can't help but to fondle his lobes.
Yeah, okay. It wasn't as direct as usual, and he didn't manipulate anyone into doing it outside of their consent.
True, it could have been much worse.
Yes. So, what did you think of this episode coming at it fresh?
I liked it. It was a good scheme for Quark, and I don't understand how he was caught. They never explain how they were able to figure out he and his cousin were secretly selling weapons inside the holosuites. Those aren't monitored as far as I can tell, and all the business happened behind closed doors. So that was confusing. Odo just said, I know you're doing this, and that's all we get.
He always investigates Quark, and if he sees him with weapons traders and they keep disappearing into holosuites, he's gonna figure it out. But at the same time, it's a nice little system they have. Test them in the holosuite and make the sale.
Oh, it's brilliant. They get to touch the merchandise, and then there's no risk. They can't suddenly point the gun at you and then deal with you that way. But yeah, I really liked when they went this way because it's clever, and it's not something I would have thought of.
It's a little silly that they weren't already doing this, considering Hagath and Gala are both immeasurably wealthy. But aside from that, yeah, it was a nice little system. Very sci-fi.
Excellent way to illegally sell stuff, unless Odo's around.
Well, even if Odo's around, because they didn't have anything to pin on Quark. He keeps causing trouble. It's weird. He's always causing problems, but only to the point of it being illegal or outright dangerous or whatever. So he gets kind of an easy ride. Cisco even says this, I've been really nice to you all the time. Why is he?
There's no good reason. They could easily find another person to fill out the bar. why continue to deal with this Ferengi who time after time gets wrapped up in illegal, dangerous things?
So Cisco's going to nail him to the wall the next time something goes wrong, but I bet you he won't. He'll just have more stern words.
He'll yell at him for a little bit.
He doesn't even get charged rent or anything. In fact, what does he pay? How could he be broke?
Gambling?
Oh, yeah, because casinos are always going broke.
He hasn't figured out how to run a casino yet.
It's not at all rigged. It's completely fair.
I do wonder why he has all of these debts that he can't pay. We never see him with outrageous items that would cost a lot.
All he does is run the bar, and everything that isn't free, I presume food is likely free because it's free all over the station. All the specialty drinks, liquors and stuff like that. He must just sell them at profit, so he would only be gaining money. He has no rent, no electricity bills or whatever. He should be rolling in it, but he's apparently broke.
He has some expensive tastes that we're not aware of yet. We'll soon find out of his outrageous hobbies.
Don't encourage them to write more bizarre Ferengi episodes.
Oh, I got it. He's paying people to create new holosuite programs.
Like Felix, who was mentioned in the previous episode.
Yes, and they are intricate and complicated and cost a lot.
And he's in mountains of debt.
Over holosuite programs, yes.
That makes very little sense. I really liked Quark's plan in the end. Chuck everyone in one room and let them kill each other.
Simple but effective.
I just liked how scared he was. It made it feel kind of genuine. It's not a super elaborate plan. He's just going to get them all together to fight it out. And he is pretty terrified of it going wrong or it going right.
As he should be. I liked seeing him rattled right before initiating the first part of the plan, but then once he's in that room, he's the collected Quark that we're familiar with.
He's got his game face on. He's pitching a sale, except he's not selling mutagenic weapons. He's selling their dead bodies to the other guys. There's a really weird scene at the start of this episode.
Which one?
O'Brien is holding Hiroyoshi, and Jake arrives at his quarters, and then Jake offers to babysit.
Did he say why he was there in the first place?
No, he doesn't. He just turns up and says, "Hey, how's it going?" And then when he offers to babysit, O'Brien seems confused, as if that. So I don't think he was there to babysit. I think he just turned up to hang out or something.
He's so bored. He randomly drops in on people.
I don't think Jake and O'Brien would hang out. They're not buddies. There's a bit of a huge generation gap there.
A long time ago, Jake was learning from O'Brien about engineering stuff.
Yeah, they have a connection.
Maybe they were reminiscing about that.
Remember the time he tried to teach me engineering, and then I told my dad I'd never want to join a Starfleet?
Good times.
The best.
It felt like he was wedged in there just because they didn't have anything for Jake to do, but they wanted him in the episode.
Oh, so you remember that he exists.
Right.
They just added a Jake break-in.
To fill our Jake quota. The
O'Brien Hiroyoshi B plot was kind of completely pointless.
Yes. Not even kind of.
It was filler. It's nice to see O'Brien struggling with fatherhood, I guess. But this show is about a space station, so...
The one good thing that came out of that... Well, there are two things that I like that came out of that. One, when Bashir says the child is possibly prematurely aware of life's existential isolation, that really made me laugh. Because, yeah, it's definitely O'Brien's kid if that's the case. He's already having bad days before he knows what a day is.
Yeah.
And then number two, I enjoyed seeing Worf hold a baby. He's like a giant
Worf was a
teddy
baby.
bear.
Worf in any social situation that's slightly out of the ordinary is going to be hilarious. It's a shame. The Klingons are the funniest guys on the show. Well, because they're such kind of... You got a lot of poker faces and straight edge characters that act like a Walter Baransoff or whatever. Massive comedic potential. And they only use them for little throwaway scenes here and there, and then when they want a goofy episode, they bring in the Ferengi. Well, I mean, okay, this episode is the exception so far, but I'd really like to see a comedy episode with Klingons. I guess looking for Parmak in all the wrong places was kind of that. Although that also included Ferengi, so...
I would love to see a strictly Klingon episode that is played for laughs.
It would work well, I think.
It seems pretty difficult to mess up for the writers. They're so good at nailing these little moments of humor with the Klingons. I would hope it would translate to a full episode.
We can dream, I suppose. There was a terribly put together sequence of dreaming in this episode.
Why is it terrible?
Well, they got out the list of dream sequence cliches and just started ticking them off. I wouldn't even mind that much, but this show has had some decent dream sequences and prophet visions and stuff. Not all of them have been great, but some of them have been pretty good. And dream sequences are something that are often poor, so it's a shame to see one that is kind of low quality.
What bothered you most about it?
It was obvious. Dreams are never just that ridiculously, overbearingly obvious. And seeing him wake up in the bar like, oh, it was all a dream. Well, yeah, we got that straight away. It didn't really add anything. I mean, if you just saw him waking up in the bar and saying, oh, they're dead. Oh, they're not dead. Okay. That would have been as good as that whole scene. I think, what is it, Jake even says, oh, you killed me. I had my whole life ahead of me. You expect someone to come along and say, look, selling weapons is bad.
All the lines during that sequence kind of hit with a thud. There's that one from Jake. Kira asks if he can buy a new conscience.
That's what I mean by overbearingly obvious. It's directly saying, hey, your conscience is having real trouble because you're selling weapons for money and that kills people. Oh my god. Yes, we know. We saw the whole rest of the episode. We know what's going on. It would be nice if you just had a dream sequence that was just weird. It had no moral undertones of what's going on. It's just some weird stuff happens. He wakes up and he's like, huh, okay.
So completely unrelated.
That's what dreams often are.
That doesn't move the plot forward or reveal anything about character, though.
Well, neither did this dream sequence, so at least my idea would be entertaining.
All right. Well, here we know that Quark doesn't just feel bad, he feels really bad.
That became apparent when he got the regent murdered.
What sold it for me was at the negotiation table where the figure 28 million hits him like a brick wall. That's all I needed.
Couldn't you just wound some of them?
Yeah.
That was clever because often things don't feel real until you slap a number on them.
That's when Quark actually faces the consequences of what he's doing, and it's not just simple profit making.
Well, every man has his price, I guess. Well, in reverse. Bending of morals will only go so far in terms of moral cost versus latinum. So we know that is that is something Quark's not prepared to do. Let 28 million people die for some amount of profit. So that's not really saying much because I'm pretty sure most life forms would object to that.
I would hope so.
Deep down, Quark is kind of a nice guy. He doesn't want 28 million deaths on his conscience.
That's all it takes.
Yeah, that's it for him.
If you want to spare 28 million lives.
If it was like 26 million, he might have said, yeah, okay. But 28, no way.
That's beyond his threshold.
Stephen Burkoff as Hagath. He's a scary guy.
Yes, he is.
Well, he usually is a scary guy, so nothing strange there.
He knew more about profit than Ferengi.
Well, that's not surprising.
Why is that?
The Ferengi are just obsessed with profit. They're not necessarily all good at it. And they're not so good at it to the exclusion of other races. They just spend a lot more time on it.
They just think about it more.
It's probably like saying Klingons are tough, but there could be a human or a Vulcan or something that could easily take out a bunch of Klingons if they trained really hard and had natural talent for it. There's diversity in genetics that means the life forms shouldn't just be occupying single niches like they do in Star Trek.
It's troubling when they generalize an entire species with something like that. Oh, you're Ferengi, you're all obsessed with profit. But I guess it's just easier to do that.
Well, of course it's easier. You don't have to flesh out their species. Cultural diversity is a wide subject. If you just say, right, here's Ferengi, they're all businessmen. You're done. That's it. And if you want to make one that's not a businessman, you just have to make all the others say, oh, that's weird. Thought we were all businessmen. Oh, well. Here's the Bajoran. They're all religious farmers. There you go, done. You don't need to worry about how the economy works or how Ferengi have spaceships when they're all businessmen, but you just do that and then roll with it. It's way easier. Did you know Dr. Bashir's uncle, Malcolm McDowell, was in A Clockwork Orange with Stephen Burkoff? There you go.
The biggest revelation there is that his uncle is Malcolm McDowell.
Yes. Well, that's probably more interesting trivia, but it's unrelated to this episode. And Malcolm McDowell has been in Star Trek, but not in Deep Space Nine.
He doesn't like his nephew enough?
Yep, that's it. He doesn't like Alexander Siddig. Do you have a profitable quote from the show?
Money does strange things to people.
It does. Usually it makes the quality of their work drop drastically.
So what you're saying is Quark must be a terrible bartender.
He would be if he got rich.
The concept of money in this universe is weird because it's a cashless society. They don't have use for it. So it's all recreational.
Well, the Federation is cashless,
Oh, okay.
but like Ferenginar, Klingons, Romulans, Bajorans, whatever, none of them are in the Federation. So while they might individually have moneyless societies, not everywhere does. Ferengi certainly don't. But for someone who lives on a Federation station, yeah, it's a bit academic. You have a place to live, unlimited food, supplies, plenty of stuff to do. The drive to be rich wouldn't be that high, especially for Quark, who has holosuites, so he can do tons of crazy stuff. I don't know if money would be that strange for him. Would it make him go weird?
I don't think he would care about money.
Well, he's a Ferengi, he's got to care about money, remember? They all care about money. That's their thing. Apart from Nog and Rom.
But working on DS9, I think it would dawn on him how useless it is.
Yes, he's the main business, so he could get his own stuff at cost. You're overthinking this anyway. Of course, it will all come apart at the seams. The concept of a moneyless society is kind of hard to even conceptualize. I mean, I hope we get there one day, but it's going to be very different from what things are like now.
It's quite a leap from the system we have in place now.
It's the biggest leap. I don't think it's really... it's really hard to imagine what it would be like. Even on Star Trek, where it's a show which that's a core facet of the show, they struggle to really put it into practice in this idealized way.
It's beyond our thinking. It's like a hunter-gatherer trying to imagine what it would be like to have farms and cities.
Yeah, you can just go to the shop and purchase anything, any food you like.
That sounds insane for the life that a hunter-gatherer lived.
Yeah.
Stay in one place. You could get anything you want.
Just go anywhere. But yeah, if you went back 3,000 years and tried to sell that idea to people, they'd think you were talking about the afterlife or something.
Yeah. So it's cool that they try to grasp at this idea that we can't even really comprehend how it would affect society.
Yeah, then they make episodes like this, which really skirt the edges of how this idea would even work.
It's a start.
It's a good episode, so no harm done. Shall we move on to the next episode? I don't know why I ask this every time, because obviously that's what we're going to do.
Well, I could say no. You're giving me
you're not
agency.
allowed to.
Oh, never mind.
No, I'm taking it away.
But yes, I would like to move on.
Okay, well, let's do that.